Good morning, beautiful souls. Today's lesson, we are focusing on Lesson 8. My mind is preoccupied with past thoughts. Now, I love this lesson, for it is, I feel, the beginning lesson of our mind training days. For now that we know that all of our thoughts and our mind is preoccupied with past thoughts, we can realize that beyond these past thoughts is the truth, and thus we have light of the goal for us in clear sight, because now we're given the true way to move beyond these thoughts. And so I just wanted to bring forward a thought that has come up in my experience over the last couple of days while sitting with the Course, and it seems to pertain perfectly to this lesson of today, that my mind is preoccupied with past thoughts. So this is just paraphrasing here, this thought from the Course, okay? It says, God calls you, but you do not hear, for you are preoccupied with your own voice. So this is quite powerful, because a lot of the time we even had the discussion in the room today that we tend to project our own anger and our own fear onto God, onto this world. And that's exactly what happens. We don't see the world or God as it is. We see the world and God as we think that it is. And thus the world is merely just a projection of our own thinking. And because we are preoccupied with these thoughts and it's projected in our outer world, we remain caught in this cycle. We remain caught in this cycle, and we don't know how to get ourselves out of it. And so even the second sentence in the lesson today, no one is really seeing anything. He is seeing only his thoughts projected outward. And that's why the first Course lessons, we begin to recognize that we can't trust our physical sight. Our physical sight we are no longer trusting, because that is not the true testament of what is going on here. And so I feel that today, now that we recognize that our mind is preoccupied with that past thoughts, is how we can become aware that we're not really thinking at all. And we're not really thinking at all because we don't understand time. And we don't understand time because our mind is preoccupied with the past. And the only way in which we can understand time and truly understand knowledge is by being present. But we're jumping over our present mind, which is the mind we share with God, because we're listening to the mind of the past. And this mind of the past is ego, and it speaks first, and it speaks loud, and it reminds us through pictures and memories and images, and we believe these pictures and this imagery and these images are real, that they are our true thoughts. But Jesus is reminding us today that these thinking thoughts, these memories, these images, these pictures are not our real thoughts. Our true thoughts are the true thoughts that we share with God, and they're found in this present moment. So Jesus tells us that today's lesson, the purpose of today's lesson, is for us to remember that our mind is really blank. That our mind isn't thinking at all. That our mind is blank. And from this blank slate of awareness is when we become closer to this present moment, to hear and listen to our true thoughts that stream in from the divine. And a little practice in which I have done is awareness of mind. So we can take this awareness of mind throughout the day and just check in. Where am I? What am I thinking? And just start to question, what am I thinking? Where am I? And as we begin to question, what am I thinking, we begin to be aware of where our mind is and where it's going, and if it's going to the past. And you'll begin to notice that if you slip into the past, it's like you're slipping into a dream, like into that dream state that you're just imagining in the mind. You're not really present with what's going on. And I've found that when I catch myself that I've gone to the past and I'm thinking about a memory or something that's happened before, something that I wish would happen or something that might happen in the future, I stop, I bring myself back right here, right now, and I say, Holy Spirit, I give my mind to you. I recognize that I have been in my mind. I no longer want to be there anymore. I want to be in this space. Therefore, I hand my mind to you. And literally, it's like this. Snap back into centeredness. Snap back into this moment awareness. And so this can be the practice today. That I'm going to be present. That I'm going to come back right here, right now, and hand my thoughts over. Because when we hand our thoughts over, our mind goes free. And then the Holy Spirit can deal with what we need to unravel, and we don't have to do it ourselves. This is the key in remembering that we have an internal teacher to guide us through this, that we're not doing this alone. That when we take our hands off the wheel is when our thoughts can go free, and then we are shown what we need to see, we can unravel what we need to unravel, but it's done with the guidance from the higher source, instead of trying to figure it out here in these limited confines of our ego consciousness. It'll never work that way. So let's see what else this lesson says for us today. I love this here. It says, the only holy true thought that one can hold about the past is that it is not here. That is the only thing that we can really say, is that it's not here. And much like I shared yesterday, when we do see the past in our mind, it's an awareness that all we're seeing are these shadowy dark figures. That we're seeing our idea of what took place, our interpretation of what took place. It's not what the other person saw, felt, thought, experienced. It's us. So right away, it's faulty, because it's our private thoughts. Our private thoughts are not to be kept to ourselves, because we have no private thoughts. We have a shared mind. And this shared mind is where knowledge comes from. So we need to move beyond this idea of private thoughts and keeping our mind busy with these thoughts and come back to that space, because that blank slate, like I was saying, is really how our mind is. And it even says here, while thoughtless ideas preoccupy your mind, the truth is blocked. Recognizing that your mind has merely been blank, rather than believing that it is filled with real ideas, is the first step to opening the way to vision. And sometimes this might be a little difficult to swallow, because we think of all of the years that maybe we've gone to school, that we've learned, that we have believed in so many ideas, ideologies, things, spiritualities, books, everything that we have kind of inundated our mind with. But this is the new sense of learning. The new sense of learning that wisdom isn't learned in this world. Wisdom is received from our own soul. So we already are wise as the souls that we are. We need to just listen to that voice of wisdom instead of listening to the chatterbox of the thinking mind. So everything that's true and everything that's whole and everything that's helpful and loving will remain. But anything that blocks our presence to this, or that blocks our experience with this wisdom and love and helpfulness, is what fades away. So we need not be afraid of anything, even though the ego mind might tempt us to be afraid, because the ego mind knows that this is the loss of itself. This illusory mind is now about to dissolve, and it's afraid of that. So don't listen to its fearful mongerings. Instead, just remember that we can hand our thoughts over to the mind of love. And the mind of love, the Holy Spirit in us, knows exactly what it's doing, because that's its whole purpose in our mind, right? Is to help us unravel this thinking mind, to truly come back to that space of being a blank slate of mind, a new beginning, so to speak. And this is how we can have this new earth of love given to us on this blank slate of mind, so we can see what it is and then give it away and do our part here and just thrive in the feelings of joy. So today Jesus says that our homework, our exercise today, should be done with our eyes closed. So no longer do we need to see through the physical senses of the body. We can just go inward. It says, this is because you actually cannot see anything, and it is easier to recognize that no matter how vividly you may picture a thought, you are not seeing anything. This is pivotal for today. With a little investment as possible, search your mind for the usual minute or so, merely noting the thoughts you find there. Name each one by the central figure or theme it contains, and pass on to the next. Introduce the practice period by saying, I seem to be thinking about, and then be still for a moment and watch your mind and see what you're thinking about. And once you have a thought that crosses by, you can say, I seem to be thinking about this person, about this object, about this emotion, and so on. And at the end of the mind-searching period, we must say, but my mind is preoccupied with past thoughts. So Jesus offers us to do this 4 or 5 times today. And if that's too much and too daunting, then 2 or 3 is just fine. But do this a few times, and I'm even going to do this myself. And know that what we're doing is we're becoming aware of our thinking mind, recognizing that the thoughts that I'm thinking are just from the past, and to let them float on by. Don't give any power to them, and just remember that our mind is preoccupied with past thoughts, and we're willing to move beyond those thoughts to the true sense of solace and peace that resides within us now and always. So with that being said, this is our homework today, beautiful souls, as this is our function, and our happiness and our function are one. So let's take this into our heart and mind, and have a true experience here today. It's a beautiful thing. My mind is preoccupied with past thoughts. Love and peace to all of you. Bye-bye.